everyone, welcome to another episode of Biblical History and Timeline of Places. Today in this short video, we are going to explore a bit about Mount of Olives from a Christian standpoint and a Jewish reference. So now, the Mount of Olives or Mount Olivet in Hebrew, it is called as Har HaZaitim, and in Arabic it is called as Jabal al-Zaytun, meaning in both as lit. So the Mount of Olives in Arabic is also called as Atur. That is a mountain ridge adjacent to Jerusalem's old city. And the Mount of Olives is one of the three peaks of a mountain ridge which runs for 3.5 kilometers just east of the old city across the Kidron Valley in this area which is called the Valley of Josaphat. So now, if you're wondering what a ridge is, it's like an elevated body of or part or structure, or you can call it a range of hills or mountains, or an elongated elevation of an ocean bottom, or an elongated crust, or a linear series of crusts, or a raised strip from a plowed ground. Let's look at a couple of pictures here, just to get an idea. Okay, so it is named for the olive groves that once covered its slope. Which one? The Mount of Olives we are referring to. And the highest point on the Mount of Olives is Atur, which is at 818 meters, almost 2,684 feet. And this ridge, it acts as a watershed, and its eastern side is the beginning of the Judean desert. That is a former village which is now a neighborhood of East Jerusalem. So let us look at a couple of pics that we've gathered here, specifically for you to get an understanding of the place that we are referring to for our viewers here. The Mount of Olives has been used as a Jewish cemetery for over 3,000 years, and it holds approximately 150,000 graves, making it central in the tradition of Jewish cemeteries. From biblical times until the present, a significant number of Jews have been buried on the Mount of Olives, and so it is part of the life and culture of the Jewish people since even before Jesus' birth on this world. There is a religious ceremony which marks the start of a new month, which is held on the Mount of Olives again. In the days of the Second Temple, the Roman soldiers, they used to camp on the mount, that is during the siege of Jerusalem, which happened in AD 70. So that's the timeline we get when it comes into some prominence for the people to look at. However, after the destruction of the Second Temple, the Jews celebrated the festival of Sukkot on the Mount of Olives. So they made pilgrimages to the Mount of Olives because it was 80 meters higher than the Temple Mount, and it offered a panoramic view of the temple site even though it was in destruction and lying in ruins. So it became a traditional place. Which one? The Mount of Olives. For lamenting about the temple's destruction, people would give prayers, especially on the day of Tisha B'Av. What is Tisha B'Av? Tisha B'Av, it's an annual fast day in Judaism on which a number of disasters in the Jewish history occurred. Primarily, there's the destruction of both Solomon's temple by the Neo-Babylonian Empire and the Second Temple by the Roman Empire in Jerusalem. So that was a kind of, importance or the reference to Mount of Olives that you can see in the Jewish culture and history in those days. Now, there are several key events in the life of Jesus as related in the Gospels that took place on the Mount of Olives. And in the Acts of the Apostles, it is described as a place from which Jesus ascended to heaven. And because of its association with both Jesus and Mary, the Mount has been a site of Christian worship since ancient times and is today a major site of pilgrimage for both Catholics, the Eastern Orthodox, and Protestants, and so in all, for the Jewish people, for Christians, like that you can say. So when we try to associate on the Mount of Olives, usually it is with Jesus' time and ministry on this earth 2,000 plus years ago. But it's also where immediately after the Last Supper in the Garden of Gethsemane. The Garden of Gethsemane also happens to be in that area called the Mount of Olives. He prayed to his Father and was later arrested, and divinely speaking, Jesus clarified this in John 14:11. Let me quote it for you. Believe in me that I am in the Father, and the Father is in me. Otherwise, believe me because of the very works themselves, many miracles that God did, which you have witnessed, that is, the people of those times have witnessed. He healed the sick, he healed the blind, he healed the lame, right? A lot of miracles are there. He turned water into wine. So they only not used to call him Rabbi, but when he was asked a question about is he God, he almost referred himself to as God, which amounted to blasphemy, and which could not be taken by the emperor of those times, and which resulted for Jesus' death on the cross. And that too, at that time, there were many skeptics who would not believe, and Jesus had to go through the cross. It was the Father's will again. But the Mount of Olives, as you see, this was a place which was used by Jesus during his time to pray and know about the Father's will and to go through the Father's will. And so when Jesus took upon the human form, he prayed to his Father who was in heaven, visiting this Mount of Olives often during his ministry days. He went there regularly with his disciples, often spent the night there. And you can reference it in John 8:12 or Luke 21:37. You can refer and you can find out, Jesus was speaking to his disciples there. But why the Mount of Olives? It wasn't just because it was conveniently located a few hundred meters east of Jerusalem. Jesus knew its history. He knew its significance more than anyone else at that time. So this was about part 1 of the Mount of Olives. We shall look at another aspect also leading to the significance of Mount of Olives in part 2. So thank you for your patience and watching this.